Hey there, Shrine Runners! Hello, and welcome to the Fox Shrine. I'm Araxis, your host, and today we're going to be playing Please Be Happy. Hey there, Kuro. Hey, Shoma. Hey, Kaio. Hey, Tiberius. Welcome. Hope you're doing alright. I'm doing pretty good. I just woke up because I had a big day yesterday. I went to the museum and spent the day walking around, checking out the Egyptian exhibit, and it was great. It was great getting to see all those different artifacts on special loan from Egypt, because the Australian Museum is not the British Museum. They're not looting it, which is good. Museums shouldn't be doing that. Preservation is important, but please don't loot and steal and pillage and shit like that. That is not right. If a country asks for its artifacts to be returned, please return them. Anyway. Speaking of valuable artifacts, we're about to go steal some precious artwork, and please be happy. So, let's go and see how that's going to proceed, shall we? Alrighty then. I was just talking about how I went to the museum, and this museum's better than the British Museum because it didn't steal all of its artifacts. Alright. Let's go, shall we? Alright.
Already?
Yes.
Okay, let me grab my keys.
Yeah. Grab your keys. Let's get started, shall we? Okay. So, this is our save. Modding for a friend, trying to install Half-Life 2 mod. All right. All the best with that. Now, let's head to the library. When the moon is high in the sky, I decide it's time. This is the perfect kind of night for me. Not much wind, meaning I'll be able to hear or smell anyone approaching. It's a little cloudy too, which gives me some cover from the moonlight. I make my way back up to the library, stopping as soon as I'm within sight of it. I find a shadowy place to hide and watch the front for a few minutes. Like I hoped, nobody goes in or out. All the windows are dark too. I slowly creep up towards the entrance, ready to transform and flee if I have to. Nothing happens. No one tries to stop me. I peek into one of the windows. It's dark inside. I can't see anyone at all. Perfect. I move around the back side of the building and check those windows too. Same thing. It's dark and empty. My favorite artifact from the Musume, I would probably say the Mecha Musume, although ship Musume are very good as well. Absolutely. As for my actual favorite artifacts from the museum, I would say the dagger that I saw that belonged to a princess. I think Princess Aita. That one was really cool. It was like a bronze and gold dagger with like lapis lazuli, and so much lapis lazuli there. And even more impressive was the fact that it was imported from Afghanistan. So like ancient world trade routes. Afghanistan all the way to Egypt. Pretty cool to learn that. I also liked the silver sarcophagus that they had there as well, because silver again is a resource not all that common in Egypt. Gold, like lots of gold, like so much gold, but silver, not so much. So a silver sarcophagus was apparently quite rare. There were several actually sarcophagi there as well that were full. But yeah, those were the ones that come to mind for me at least. Also some animal mummies as well, which was interesting to learn about how it was more like a factory sort of process rather than because they liked animals. Yeah, I was going to say that as well. That was a really impressive one for me as well. Like, just so much work and effort put into that, and also put into the room itself, because like they had it done up like you were actually in like the resting place of the gentleman in question. That was really well done. Like the minute that you saw like walk in there, it's like, wow.
This is gonna be too easy.
Back at the front door, I pick the lock and slip inside. I sneak from room to room, revisiting the items I memorized yesterday. Not expensive or fancy enough to think of them as treasures. End up leaving a lot of them alone since I don't want to carry too much with me. Just go into my coat pockets. Finally, I end up back at the painting in the corner, the piece that started this whole plan. I have to set a couple things down on the floor because the painting needs both hands for me to lift it. It's heavier than it looks, though it's not very big. That's probably a good sign for how much it'll be worth. Gold will always surprise a person with how heavy it weighs, especially if you're not used to it. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. I have to jiggle it a couple of times to get it off the hook, but I manage. Tucking the painting under one arm, I pick up the other goods from the floor. This should be enough for one night. Best to get in and out quick. I start to head back for the front door where I came in. Before I get there, light floods the room. My heart starts to race as I immediately prepare to run. A quick glance over my shoulder shows the woman from last night, standing at the top of the stairs. Her eyes are glowing blue with anger. She takes a step forward, not seeming to touch the stairs. Yep, and it's also highly conductive. So all that copper that you're using in wires, gold's actually better for that.
Leave that painting alone.
Gotta get out of here now. Throwing caution to the wind, I clutch my spoils tight and charge for the door, trying to make myself as small a target as possible. Alright. I've not watched that. The painting is too big for me to transform and still hold on to it, so I gotta do this on two legs.
Stop! Please!
I don't stop. Just like my arrival here, with the guards at the skyport, the thrill of being chased has already taken over. It's exciting and scary at the same time, but either way, it spurs me to move faster. Using my shoulders, I crash out the front door and into the night. I run as quickly as I can, keeping an eye out for patches of slick mud or puddles of water. Portrait of Yuri Gagarin, but in lesbian pride flag colors. That'd be an interesting one. Yeah. They're doing a good job with the descriptions in this. Absolutely. The path I take goes far past Mount Victoria and my den, ending up in a small residential area. I stash the painting under a parked car, then take my fox form and crawl under a house, upsetting a mean grey cat who was already hiding here. It makes a low growling sound, and I glare at it, desperately willing it to be silent before it gives away my position. I growl back as best as I can, and that seems to scare it into shutting up. Not sure if I was being followed or not. I don't want to take any chances. After 10 minutes or so, I climb out, pick up my loot, and sneak back towards my den. Now that the excitement is worn off, I just can't keep a smile off my face. There's nothing more satisfying than pulling off a heist, even one as easy as this. Other thieves I've heard about must have had it rough, having to stake out a place for a long time, trying really hard to not get caught, making sure not to be seen. I've never done much planning, I just do whatever feels right. My ability to transform makes it pretty hard to catch me, though I have had to leave behind the stuff I was taking once or twice. And honestly, it would get boring if I never got caught and had to run. My good mood lasts me all the way home, then disappears completely when I see who's waiting for me. The woman in white. She stands just outside my den, looking like she doesn't care at all about the cold or the mud. In fact, her perfect clothes don't seem to get dirty at all. With her back turned to me, she's staring up at the moon. But she faces me as I approach. She has that same calm presence as when I first saw her. But I can see a mournful look in her eye, which have gone back to brown instead of furious blue. My heart quickens, almost suffocatingly, as she watches me intently. I know how quickly calm can turn into anger. She could run, but I can't look away.
How did you find me here? Before I even got back?
A friend of mine told me you might be found here.
Her voice is soft and warm, unlike the way that she shouted back at the library.
A friend.
A bet. But who? I wasn't followed, I'm sure of that much. With the shock of being found wearing off, the realization I'll need to find a new place to stay sets in. After all that work, too.
I apologize for showing up uninvited. I'm here to ask that you please return that painting to me.
Yeah, vampire showing up uninvited. How rude.
You may keep the frame if you'd like, but the painting itself is very dear to me.
I look down at the portrait. I've been carrying it for a while now, but I haven't given the picture itself much thought. It's a beautiful painting and clearly very old. The girl shown in it is wearing a long, flowing dress, looking down with a small smile.
And also...
She breathes out slowly, and my eyes narrow. It's the sound people make when they're acting calm, but they're angry.
Should you want it, I have an extra room available in my library, with a soft bed and a warm meal. You may stay as long as you wish.
It's impressive that she's still offering that room. Honestly, I don't blame Miho for being suspicious at this point.
Huh?
After I just tried to rob her, she's offering me a place to stay? Okay, now I know this must be a trap. There's no way! Although... it's the same thing she asked me last night, before I broke in. I'm sure she doesn't remember that.
Why?
Because I have more beds than I could possibly fill, and more food than I could eat. If there is someone who wants or needs them, is it not appropriate to share these with them?
Is it?
Not sure what answer she wants to hear. She looks at me again, the same expression as it was at the library. Well, her offer does sound kind of tempting.
I guess it's not like my place is as nice as yours.
Not anymore, at least. But after it rained and made half of it mud. Look down at the painting again. If I sold it, it was just going to be so I could buy the same things she's offering me. I still don't trust her. I've watched people enough to know better than that. It must be something she wants. But I don't think she wants to hurt me. She knows I don't have anything worth stealing. I do as well, Shoma. I would like it if people were nicer and people could trust what people were saying as well. Also, hey there, Callista, welcome! How was Fallout? I think you were playing some New Vegas. I think that's what I saw you streaming. To those who don't know me, I am Araxis Tenacia, your revolutionary bartender, and we're playing some Please Be Happy. So hopefully you're all being happy, alright? Because happiness is mandatory. Alright. And congratulations on getting your mod working, Tiberius. Yeah, New Vegas, the trance game. It's almost as trance as Celeste and Hearts of Iron 4, right? That's good. I might end up playing some New Vegas myself after I finish Ghost Trick. So we'll see if I'm able to get it working. If she did try to pull something, I could just run away. It's only one night. I can come back and try again, find someplace else to take from. I look down to the burrow past where she's standing. It looks less a den, more a pile of mud. The thought of sleeping there again practically makes the decision for me.
Fine, I'll take it.
She breathes out slowly again and smiles. Maybe that sound doesn't mean she's angry?
Wonderful. I'm glad to hear it. I should introduce myself properly. My name is Juliet. May I ask what yours is?
Nice.
Miho.
Oh, actually, gave you a real name. Normally you use a fake one, don't you? I've had to introduce myself twice in a day now. That has to be a new record.
Well, Miho, it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
What's the MechWarrior 5 bit? Is that about like Mecha being trans?
Let's return to the library. I can carry the painting if you'd like, or you may hold on to it until we get there.
Gotcha. Anyway, gift Battletech instead. I like Battletech more. I shrug.
Here, feel free.
She receives it very gently, and I quickly fall in beside her as we begin to walk back. To my relief, she doesn't try to make any conversation. Instead, she silently cradles the painting as we go. That's a lot of hours on Team Fortress 2. I don't have any game with, like, even 1,000 hours. Like, admittedly, if we went for, like, mobile games, probably, if they recorded, like, time played, you might have that for, like, FGO or something. But nothing in my Steam library, at least. When we get back to the library, the lights are off, and the door is still unlocked. After setting the painting down on the desk, Juliet gestures towards the stairs.
It's on the second floor.
I follow her lead again until she stops at one of the closed doors. She unlocks it and lets me in. The room is simple and cozy, with a couple of dressers, a table, and a bed. Over the bed, there's a boxy window with a wide sill, big enough to sit on. I bet there's a CG where someone is sitting on the window. On the table, there's a cheese sandwich and a few apple slices, plus some sort of cake. There's also a pitcher of water.
I hope the food is to your liking. 2 rooms down the hall from here, you'll find a refrigerator, and you may help yourself to anything in there.
When did you have time to prepare this, Juliet? That's an impressive amount of hours there, Kaio.
My study is just past that. If you need anything, don't hesitate to come find me. Is there anything more I can bring for you?
I shake my head, still in disbelief. Game's a little quiet? Alright. Let's turn that up then. Okay? Is that better? What am I even supposed to say in a situation like this? I just stole from her. Now I have both a bed and food in return? That's good to hear. As if to answer my confusion, she gives a calm smile. It doesn't help.
Then I'll leave you to it. We can speak again in the morning. Good night, Miho.
The door shuts behind her, and I expect to hear Juliet lock it. But when I try the knob after giving her a few moments, the door opens quietly into the dark hall. Juliet's nowhere to be seen. I pull the door back shut behind me and inspect the room, looking for any hidden threats. I also check the food, sniffing it to make sure there's no poison or anything. If there is, I can't smell it, and so I dig in instead.
Whoa. This is really good.
There's 3 different kinds of cheese in the sandwich, which is 2 more kinds that I knew existed. So uncultured, Miho. You gotta get to learn your cheeses! Although admittedly, I suppose you're also illiterate, admittedly, so you haven't had a chance to learn culture. Yep, no problem, Tiberius. Hope you sleep well. Thanks for stopping by. The bread is soft and buttery. When I take a bite of the apple, juice rolls down my chin. Are there any serviettes here? The water that I wash it down with tastes better than the water from the stream by my den. When I'm done eating, I climb into bed, still feeling overwhelmed. More specifically, not knowing how to feel. Part of me fears that I've made some gigantic mistake and that I'll wake up in danger. If I ever wake up at all. Trusting my instincts has kept me alive on multiple occasions, and for hundreds of years. Enough that I've lost count of exactly how many. But something tells me I don't have anything to fear from the woman, who I can only assume is my host and the owner of this place. So, with that in mind, I pull the blankets up to my chin and adjust the luxurious pillows beneath my head. Who knows? Maybe the morning will bring trouble with it. Right now, sleeping sounds alright. I wake up to the sound of birds chirping loudly outside. Blinking wearily, I prop myself up and look towards the warm sunlight beaming through the window. The sheets under my hand feel soft and dry. My hand goes to my neck, taking in the smooth familiarity of my necklace.
It's still here.
If someone was going to rob me, that's the only thing I have that would seem valuable. I sit up and look around. Doesn't look like anyone came in while I was asleep. Maybe I really am safe here. Wonder if Juliet's friend was the scent I noticed outside my den on the first morning. I don't know how else you could have found me. how they did it without waking me up. It happened before, it could happen again, as much as I hate to admit it. So, I check around the room very thoroughly, but still don't notice anything different from when I went to bed.
Maybe it's not a trick.
All my past experiences have told me that there has to be a catch. Nothing is free. Nothing. But no matter how hard I try, I could figure out what it could be. Could Juliet really have been telling the truth? It just seems so unlikely. It would be nice if it was true. If it wasn't, if I let myself believe, only to be wrong in the end, that would hurt even more, wouldn't it? No. Better to not even take the risk. After all, I've lived a lot of years this way, and it's not like I hate it. Making my mind up helps me feel better right away, too. Just makes more sense. Even if I tried to stay, I don't think I'd ever stop worrying. This way, I'll know for sure that I'm in charge of my own destiny. Now that I know this room is unoccupied, I might be able to sneak back in sometimes when I need a place to stay. Wouldn't be too hard to climb one of the trees and then get to the window from there. I take one last look around. Well, just tonight, it was a nice what if. Then I head downstairs and out the door without speaking a word to anyone. It's another nice day, the same as when I first arrived in Wellington. Warm sun and blue skies, with just a hint of clouds. For a while, I meander around town, eating the last of my pastries from the convenience store hall for breakfast. The day feels like another restart. I have no den, no supplies, no anything. It's less exciting now than it was when I first arrived. I don't have a destination in mind, but eventually end up at the waterfront. There's an airship over the bay, descending closer towards the skyport. A couple kids down on the beach wave up at it, seeming excited. The people arriving on that ship all have somewhere that they're planning to go when they get off, huh? They've all got people waiting to see them. What have I got? Some trash and an old scroll? So far, Wellington's given me nothing but questions. That never bothered me before in any of the other cities I've been to. So why now? Yes, that's another question for the pile. I push myself off the railing and head back into town. I go through the motions of scouting for somewhere to rebuild my den, but my heart really isn't in it. After wandering for a while, I end up at the Bell House yet again. It's just the place I go when I have nowhere else to go. There are more customers than usual, so there are 2 people working behind the counter. It only takes a brief glance to notice that one of them is Aspen. Aspen. Wonder if she'll think I'd like a fairy kiss chiller again. Maybe I'll make a different sort of first impression today. The line moves pretty quickly. It helps that Aspen doesn't spill anything this time. When it's my turn to order, I step up to the counter with a fake smile.
Oh, hello. What can I make for you today? I'll have a fairy kiss chiller, please. Certainly. Good choice.
I reach for my wallet to pay, but she stops me.
Oh, don't worry about that. It's on the house today. Great!
Yeah, free drinks!
What does that mean? It means that you don't have to pay for it. As an apology for yesterday.
I was suspicious that this might happen, because it would be hard to have a story where the characters forget each other all the time. Not impossible, but it would like drastically change the tone of the story. Absolutely, would make for an interesting story though. Absolutely. Yesterday? Why does that sound so strange? I nearly miss her talking, my mind having tripped over the word. She reaches for a cup, the pen already in her hand.
And that's for Miho, right?
For Miho?
My name? She remembers my name? My heart begins to race wildly, my body reacting just as strongly as my mind. Aspen frowns, clearly noticing that something's off. My head's in too much of a daze to deal with it, though.
It is Miho, right?
Yes. She checks the notebook on the counter, brow furrowing deeply as her finger slowly moves down the page and taps on one of the lines. What do I say? How do I explain? That for the first time in my life, for the first time in hundreds of years, somebody's remembered my name. It's not supposed to be like this. I'm supposed to be forgotten. Every time, without fail. It's my armor. It's my life. I take a step backwards. I have to run. I have to get out of here. I have to get away. But where to? I've just been running. I don't have anywhere else to run to. But I don't have any other choice. Without a plan or destination, I turn on my heel and bolt outside, not daring to look back. Everything is wrong. I have to go.
Miho!
She calls my name again as I disappear into the street. It's not the first time I've heard that as I fled. Never like this. Never with such a confused, worried tone. Feeling sick to my stomach, I push myself to run even faster. Maybe I should just leave this whole city, get on the next airship out of here, and act like it never happened. Could go somewhere else, back to China, or America, or anywhere, and start over again. Within days, it'd be like I never even came to Wellington. My life would go back to normal, and eventually I'm sure Aspen and Juliet would forget me, just like they're supposed to. Nothing would be different. Except, it's not quite true. I wouldn't forget what happened here, even if everyone else did. No matter what, I'm sure I won't ever be able to get these past few days out of my mind. I get to Mount Victoria, finally stop running. Not because this place is special or because I wanted to come here, but because I don't know where else I'd go. I'd make my way up to the top of the mountain, just like I did on my first day. The view, which I admired so much last time, doesn't do much for me now. Instead, the city looks cluttered and confused from up here. My chest hurts from running so long. I'm much more used to quick bursts of sprinting to get away from something or someone. Yes, that's still what I'm trying to do right now. But I'm not too sure what it is that I'm running from. Whenever something goes wrong, my first instinct is to flee. Aspen remembering me definitely counts as something wrong. But when I stop to think about why, some of the reasons are obvious. Mostly, what if it's not just Aspen? What if everybody can remember me now? Or even worse, What if people who forgot about me a long time ago start to remember me? Both could get me in a lot of trouble. My days as a thief would probably be over. There are some places where I could never show my face again. The smart thing to do is to leave. I can even see a couple airships at the skyport right now. I have everything with me. I could just go. There's nothing keeping me here. And yet, I don't move. Accidentally repeat some of the dialogue there. Still don't even know what it is I've been running away from. From Aspen? From Wellington? When I think about it, I have to admit that running wouldn't get me anywhere. This worry, these questions, would follow me wherever I go, no matter how far and no matter how long. So then, what do I do? The only answer I can think of is the scariest one. One that goes against everything I've ever learned. Closing my eyes, I picture the library and Juliet's offer. I picture Aspen, whom I barely know, but who's already changed my life. Maybe I should stay and try to find out more. Maybe, just maybe, being remembered might not be all bad. I clench my fists so tightly my knuckles turn white. The urge to turn tail and head for the skyport is so strong. It's almost like a magnet pulling me there. I resist it though. Slowly, I walk back down the mountain, making my way to the library. I'm not sure what to say when I get there. Explain everything to Juliet, and hope she'll let me stay in that room again? I don't even need the room. I could rebuild my den and hide out there. Maybe in a new spot. One that Juliet doesn't know about. Hey there, Mimi. You know what? If you say that you're best dressed, I believe you. A nice blanket sounds nice though, admittedly. Not having to worry about the weather or other animals would be nice though. There's no telling if Juliet will remember me too. If not, it might be easier to pretend this is my first time visiting and just ask if there's anywhere I could stay. Even though I'm not moving very fast, I still don't feel ready for this conversation the time I reach the library's entrance. It's only been an hour or so since I left the Bell House, so it's not late enough for the library to be closed. The usual stream of people flows in and out the doors.
Okay, I can do this.
Stack yourself up, Miho. I stand off to the side of the entrance, preparing myself as people pass to and fro. My heart is racing the same way it does during a tense break-in. Maybe even harder. My tail twitches back and forth. Usually I don't notice, but right now I'm super aware of everything about myself. Fighting off my instincts, I open the door and let myself inside. I'd been expecting to have to look for Juliet, but instead, she's right by the entrance. What surprises me most, however, is the woman leaning against the large desk beside her, Aspen, who's now engaged in conversation with a look of deep concern on her face.
Wasn't there when I checked the bedroom. I wish she would have spoken to me first, at least.
I barely catch the end of Juliet's sentence. She notices me only moments after I spot her, and for a second, her mouth forms a perfect O of surprise.
Juliet? What are you...
That's her! Aspen turns around to follow Juliet's gaze, her eyes opening wide at the sight of me.
Miho!
My brain goes blank, rehearsed lines flying out of my head.
Hey there.
Hi! I slink over to where they're standing, hands in my pockets, unsure what I should say first.
It's nice to see you again, Miho. I was hoping that you'd return.
Me too. That was pretty sudden. I worked extra hard on that drink for you, you know.
Do you still have it? I freeze up, looking for the words. Aspen's expression softens in concern. Oh, looks like Aspen is taller than Juliet. Interesting.
Miho?
Alright, the drink. I'm sorry.
Well, I ended up drinking it myself, so I suppose I can't complain too much.
Oh. She laughs, and I can't stop myself from blurting out my next words.
You seem different.
I'm sorry?
Like, less polite?
She's off the clock.
Well, I'm not at work anymore, am I?
What am I even saying? What was I planning on saying again? Alright. No indication in the game, but the main writer stated it, huh? Okay, that's cool. Go Aspen! Ace writes.
Will you be staying for a while, Miho?
Admittedly, it would be nice if it came across stronger in the text itself rather than having to be sort of like said in like an interview or like privately or like a Q&A sort of like afterwards. But still cool.
If so, we can continue this conversation in the dining room. It's a bit more private there.
Well, like the reason would be like if you as a character try to date them or something like that, they could say that like that's a perfectly cromulent reason to have that happen. Like no reason that would be out of the ordinary or come off as like awkward or anything. That's just having a frank conversation. And Aspen is frank, because she's having the conversation. Juliet takes charge of the conversation effortlessly, and I accidentally sigh in relief.
Yeah, sure. That sounds great. I'm not gonna run away again.
I'm glad to hear that. Right this way, then.
Juliet leads the way down the hall and into one of the locked rooms. We enter a cozy little room with a table and a few chairs, as well as a fridge. The three of us sit down, although I move my chair so I'm not so close to the others.
Can I get you anything to eat or drink, Miho?
I shake my head. I'm hungry, way too nervous to eat. Juliet smiles in response to my answer, which came just a little too quickly to sound natural. By the way both she and Aspen are looking at me, I can tell that they're expecting me to say something first. None of the words that I planned are coming back to me. What do people even say in a situation like this? I'm sorry for trying to steal your painting? Maybe? temptation to run away is overwhelming. The door just a few feet behind me. Also, TVPG, thank you very much for the continued subscription. I do appreciate that. And if you don't want to be happy, well, I'm afraid you've fallen into my trap, buddy, because you see, happiness is mandatory. I am no longer asking people to be happy. You must be happy. So turn that frown upside down. Get some grins on your face. My knuckles whiten as I tightly clench my fists in my lap, pushing myself to resist the urge. How you going anyway? I told myself that I'm going to take this chance, even if it's the hardest thing I've ever done. I'm going to be honest with them.
Well...
I'm doing quite well, thank you. I had a lovely day yesterday, because it was a free day for me, and I used that opportunity to go to the museum. And it was lovely. Tiring, because I was obviously on my feet all day, looking at all the exhibits. But it was very nice. And I also got some cheesecake on the way home. Cheesecake. I struggle to think of what to say. Juliet waits patiently. Her eyes are gazing coolly in my direction, more than directly at mine. Aspen soon grows restless, however, her expression clouded with concern. Cheesecake.
Sorry. I don't know how to just say things. I've only ever copied other people's, so
Aspen's expression clears up in some sort of understanding.
It's okay, Miho. Take your time.
If that is even your real name.
So I don't really know how to talk like this.
You're doing just fine.
If you say so. It's not just talking either. I don't know much about anything. Well, anything human. All I really know about is being a fox. And all we foxes care about is how to survive. It might be hard to believe, but I'm not a normal fox either. There's something kinda special about me. Kinda different.
Finger the beads around my neck. Their constant warmth and presence is reassuring. I avoid looking at either Aspen's or Juliet's face. What else?
Usually, I have to steal to get by. I don't just have to, I like to. I'm good at it too. That's how I ended up meeting Juliet.
At the very least, we've established in this world that the supernatural is fairly normal. Like we've seen like centaurs and pixies and cyclops just wandering around town, like as regular people. They weren't anything special. They're just there. So it's like urban fantasy with no masquerade. Dust portraits in the early 2010s, huh? I'll have to double check the Gust portraits from that era. I do like the portraits in this though. And was Gust like the Atelier games?
And the reason I'm so good at it is because I don't know why it happens, but ever since I got my human form, everyone forgets me.
Ah, gotcha. Oh, same developer. Oh, I didn't realize they did the Tonolico games. I've not played them before, but I've heard that the music for them is really good, and that they can get rather lewd at times, shall we say?
Even the people who catch me stealing from them. After a day or two, I can walk right past their face and they wouldn't even recognize me.
And I don't know if supernatural battles are commonplace or anything. This seems very much more of a slice of life sort of visual novel rather than an action visual novel. So I'm going to say no, but I don't know. I could be mistaken.
No one has ever recognized me. Until Aspen remembered who I was at the Bell House.
Yeah, I'm not saying that the entire game is lewd or anything like that. Just that you do get some scenes that are...
It was such a shock that I ran away. That's what I always do. I was thinking about leaving Wellington forever, even though I just arrived a couple days ago. I'm still kind of tempted, but instead, I came back here.
Oh, some games don't. Okay, fair enough. Also, hey there, Draco. How you going?
And that's it.
Just hearing the words coming out of my mouth makes me want to die of embarrassment. It makes me uncomfortable when other people think about me. And yet, putting everything out there feels surprisingly good. It feels like a weight has come off my shoulders. There's no going back now, and that's a relief in its own way. Yeah, I've definitely seen them streaming that game. It is very much not the game I would play. Does not seem interesting to me. As long as they're having fun though, right?
So you're saying that you've never ever had a family? Or a friend?
Nope, never. And not since I stopped being a regular fox, at least.
Oh. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Why?
Yeah, I was going to say that because she's not had family or a friend, she's not going to know what she's missing out on or anything, right?
Well, because that's... not to be rude, but that sounds rather lonely to me.
Lonely, huh? I've never thought about it before.
Yeah, it seems like it's very much designed to titillate, shall we say?
I see.
Aspen sits back, still looking concerned. From the way she keeps fidgeting, I get the impression she wants to say more, but is holding back. Juliet swoops in to salvage the situation.
You have been very brave to stay here, Miho. I'm personally glad that you decided to come back to the library. I had your room prepared in hopes that you would. You're welcome to use it for as long as you'd like. I think that we could become great friends.
Can I still have your picture frame?
Friends.
I roll the word around in my mind, as if it were a strange food I'm gingerly trying. Is that a word that fits me? Something I could have? It's never seemed like a possibility before. None of what Juliet's offered me has. Right now, it feels like I'm standing at the end of one path and the beginning of another. I could turn around and go back the way I came, back to the den and the life spent alone. I know that world. I've lived in it for so many years. But I can't just go back. Not now. Not when there can be something more. something new. Everything could be different if I just let it. When I look at Aspen and Juliet, I can tell what they're hoping I'll say.
I think I'd like that.
Big smiles take over both their faces. Those are some nice smiles right there. Nice smiles all around. Slowly, I let myself smile too.
Well then, Miho.
Let's go to the police. Happy ending. Game over. Thank you very much for tuning in. I've got to switch over to some New Vegas now.
Welcome home.
Please be happy. As our introduction. Chapter 2, A Life Worth Living. And we got an achievement for that. For A Life Worth Living. For the second day in a row, I wake up in a soft bed. My bed. Let's save the game here, by the way. It's the start of a new chapter, after all. It's early. The library downstairs is silent. No one else is here, aside from Juliet. Didn't even transform before falling asleep last night. Just passed out like this, with human arms and legs. No wonder I'm sore. Oh, and that's our ad break. So, I will be right back for a moment. And I do, in fact, have a BRB screen for those who were wondering, who only watch my Super Robot Wars streams. So we are going to go to that. And I shall be back in a couple of minutes, alright? Be right back. Alrighty then. Let's get back to the game, shall we? I've been told that the ads are over. It says that there's still like a minute left of ads, but I'll assume that everything's all good. The burb art is cute. Thank you for complimenting the burb art. Alright. Let's get back to the game, shall we? After I agreed to Juliet's offer, the rest of the day passed by quickly. Aspen and Juliet showed me around the house part of the library, and Juliet made dinner for the three of us. Aspen didn't leave until the evening, and I decided to go to bed early. After the whirlwind of emotions I went through yesterday, I was exhausted and fell asleep as soon as my head hit the pillow. Not having to be on alert the moment I open my eyes is a nice change. I can toss and turn and even doze a little bit longer. Yeah, I definitely hear you on the dozing a little bit longer part. I get as much rest as my body will let me, Once I've had my fill of being lazy, I finally crawl out of bed.
Okay, time to get up.
It doesn't take me long to get ready. I tiptoe to the door out of habit, so carefully that only someone with super keen hearing would be able to hear me. But then I remember.
Oh yeah, I don't need to sneak around while I'm here.
Weird. I loosen up and step out into the hallway, shutting the door behind me. Being so openly noisy is almost harder than being sneaky. It's a popular ship, huh? That's cute. The building is still quiet. Juliet told me to come find her when I wake up, so I make my way down the hallway towards the room she showed me yesterday. And yeah, Aspen and Juliet are indeed close. Like, we see Aspen, like, reading for a while in the library, certainly. But the fact that Aspen and Juliet both meet up because of the whole Miho thing, like, definitely indicates something going on there. Absolutely. And yeah, I think you mentioned that was an unreached stretch goal for the Kickstarter, which is unfortunate. Absolutely. I think poly relationships are great. I say this as someone who is asexual. I don't, and also aromantic. I'm not interested in romance myself. But I have thought that if I discovered that I wasn't aromantic or anything like that, like, I would absolutely be open to a poly relationship, because I wouldn't think it fair to my partner that I wouldn't be able to like, be intimate with them or anything. So, like, hey, that's an option, right? And who knows? It might happen, and like, someone might write a cool fanfic about it or something. That'd also be nice, right? Alright. Yeah, the building is still quiet. Juliet told me to come find her when I wake up, so I make my way down the hallway towards the room that she showed me yesterday. It's one of the last in the hall, tucked away in the corner. Unlike the other doors, a tiny bit of flickering light escapes from the gap below. Haha! Well, I wasn't sure, alright? I haven't looked up to see if there's any cool fanfics. Glad to know that there's several.
This is the place.
Now that I'm standing here, my nerves start to get the better of me. What if she's forgotten me this time and chases me away? Or what if... I screw my eyes shut and take a deep breath, pushing away my worries. If I'm going to stay here for a while, I need to stop thinking like that. I can't let that fear keep winning. Forcing myself to be brave, I twist the doorknob and enter. Wait. Should have knocked, shouldn't I? It's too late now. I step into the room, only to be struck by how dark it is. With just one window, the main light source is a candlelit lamp, illuminating the white-clothed figure sitting at her desk. Just like the library downstairs, there are rows and rows of books covering the shelves around the room. If this were certain other kinds of visual novels, we would have caught her in a state of undress. Juliet looks up to greet me, a gentle smile written on her face.
Oh, good morning, Miho. Did you sleep well?
She remembered me. I hide my relief. I think.
I sure did. I think that might have been the best sleep I ever had.
A state of TOS violation. It's okay, my channel is labeled as adults only. So, like, incidental nudity is fine. As long as it's not the focus of the stream, we're all good.
I'm most glad to hear it. Would you like to sit down?
One of the reasons I choose to stream on Twitch over YouTube is they're a little bit kinder on things like that. YouTube will flag you, like, instantly. Yep, you can do that. It's in the terms of service. It's as long as it is not the focus of the stream, there can be things like that. YouTube doesn't care as much. Like, that's why I've seen, like, some channels, like, get, like, Metal Gear Solid 3 streams shut down, because, like, there is a sex scene in MGS3, and, like, even though that's incidental, like, it would be fine on Twitch, apparently it's not fine on YouTube, because YouTube is full of prudes.
Oh, sure. Thanks.
There's only one other seat, so I awkwardly sit down across from her. It feels a little bit like an interrogation.
Would you like some tea?
Absolutely. I've never had tea, so I don't know if I like it or not. I think I should accept her offer out of politeness, though.
Sure.
Juliet pulls out a teacup from a shelf nearby and sets it on a little plate, then pours the tea without spilling a single drop. She pushes the plate with the cup over to me.
Sugar?
I've eaten enough human snacks to know that I like sugar.
Yes, please.
Yes, please. Juliet offers me a small pot full of little white cubes. Without hesitating, I take 2 and toss them in my mouth. They're kind of crunchy at first, but quickly fall apart. Juliet frowns, just a little. Enough that a human probably wouldn't notice. Did I do something wrong? Nah, it's fine. She offered me the sugar, right? Was I supposed to eat more? Was I supposed to use a spoon? I was supposed to use a spoon, wasn't I? Wait! I know!
Oh, thank you.
That gets her to smile, so I'm pretty sure I did the right thing. Manners! That's the thing I forgot.
We'll have breakfast in a little while. Aspen usually comes by to help open the library, and then we eat together.
Oh, alright. Very close indeed.
That sounds nice. Does she help out because of the sunlight?
My, that's astute of you. You're correct. Although I'm able to tolerate a bit of sun, I do prefer the dark. I wasn't sure if you knew I was a vampire or not.
I knew because I read the Steam page.
I figured it out just now. That explains how you were able to hear me and find my den, huh?
Indeed. That said, I have my dear friend Orpheus to thank for helping me know where to find you.
Something scratches in the corner of the room, and I look up to notice a large bat dangling from a hook on one of the shelves. That been there the entire time?
Is he also...
No, he's a bat.
No, Orpheus is a bat through and through, not a vampire. He happened to notice you on his way home one day.
So that's the friend you were talking about. I was wondering about that.
I have the pleasure of knowing several of Wellington's local bats. They keep me apprised of news from around the city.
You're not, like... you know...
Blood bags only. I tap one of my front teeth, not sure how to ask the question politely.
Oh, heavens no! I consume as little blood as one of my kind can, and what I do partake of is freely donated. I love this city and its people. I'd never had them like that.
I'm just saying, like, there's nothing inherently wrong with, like, blood-sucking, okay? That's, it's just all about consent. Like, it's not like you're actually, like, eating people. You're just feeding, like, from a small part of them. Exactly. There are definitely humane ways that you can go about it.
Besides, I had quite enough of that during my time in the underworld. Is that where you come from as well?
Oh, I'm not from the underworld. I'm from Korea. I've heard lots about it, though. I'm one of the only fabled I know of who doesn't come from there.
World building. Unlives? That might be what you're looking for there, Sherma.
For a long time, I didn't even know that other fabled existed.
Indeed. Gumio like yourself are some of the few I know of.
Interestingly enough, of like the East Asian like fox myths, Gumiho are considered to be the most dangerous. I believe that they actually do eat people, so yeah, be careful of Gumiho.
Wait, Gumiho? Is that what I'm called? That explains a lot.
You didn't know, but you go by the name Miho.
Just because I like the sound, I thought it was more like a nickname. I change it up wherever I go. Gumi, Homie, Migu. I've never had a real name.
So those are all variations of Gumiho, Miho.
I didn't even know I had a kind. I've never met someone else like me.
I mean, she would steal. Now, like, obviously stealing in order to survive is different. But, like, stealing does hurt a person, depending on who you're stealing from, absolutely. I mean, she does hunt as well, right?
I wonder if we'd have much in common.
Have other foxes, well, Gumiho, lived the same kind of life I have? Maybe they're better at fitting in with people than I am, and that's why I've never seen one. Or maybe you forgot.
Are there any other Gumio in Wellington?
None that I know of. It's possible, though.
I'm not sure what I'd say if I did meet one.
So, I'd wondered about others like me before, but since I'd never met one, I eventually assumed they don't exist. Finding out that they do, and that there's even a name for us, comes as a pretty big surprise. No matter how long I've been alive, there's still so much that I don't know about the world. As our discussion tapers off, the sound of the front door reaches my ears from downstairs. Juliet must have heard it too, looking over as I do.
Oh, that'll be Aspen. Shall we go down to breakfast?
Yes, please.
I'll never say no to that.
Juliet takes to her feet, blowing out the lamp as she goes. Orpheus the Bat leaves the study when we do, so he flies off in a different direction. I guess he won't be joining us for the meal. I have to be careful not to spill my cup of tea as we walk down the stairs. Aspen waits at the bottom, a large book tucked under her arm. She waves with her free hand to greet us.
Good morning, Aspen. It's nice to see you again.
Good morning, Juliet. And you too, Miho. I must admit, I was a little worried you might run off during the night.
Yeah, well, I didn't.
I may have thought about it a little. After I went to bed, though, I was out like a light.
Glad you decided otherwise then. Living in the library sounds like heaven. I can't believe you'd think about giving that up.
Oh, free room and board? So many books to read? Absolutely. Sounds like heaven indeed.
Anyway, I'm opening today, so I can't stay too late. I'll go ahead and take care of the windows.
Open. How early do you get up, Aspen? That's not worth it. Not worth it!
I'll get started on breakfast then. Would you like grape or strawberry jam?
I will go with grape, since raspberry is not on the table. And honestly, I'll probably go with grape anyway, because I haven't had grape jam before.
I think I'm feeling like strawberry today. Oh, or some of that orange marmalade if there's any left. You have to let Miho try that too.
I'll see if we have it. Is that a nonce you have with you? You can just leave him on the desk for now.
The voice acting is quite good, absolutely.
It sure is. I'll be taking Jacques on the way out.
I'll write it down.
Are her books named after the authors, perhaps? The two of them stroll off in different directions while I stand on the stairs, unable to follow any of the conversation.
Who's Jax? Anonsei? I don't see anyone with you.
Hooray for finishing orientation, Ada! Hopefully it wasn't too annoying for you.
This is a nonce.
She taps the cover of the book she brought with her.
He's the author of this. Juliet suggested I read some of his work, but I'm finding him rather dull.
What sort of books has Anonsei done? A-N-O-N... Might just be made up. I don't know. I'm getting like results for Anansi, and I thought it might have been... I thought she might have had a pet spider for a second, to be honest. Oh, that would have been cool.
Huh.
I try my best to sound interested, but books are the most boring thing I can imagine. Maybe I'd see the appeal if I could read them. But how could they be better than doing things yourself? After setting the book down on the front desk, Aspen goes into the main room, leaving me alone in the hallway. I make my way down the rest of the steps. Looking down at my teacup, I decide to take a tiny sip. Yuck! It's kind of bitter, but also bland at the same time. Frowning, I set the cup down on one of the shelves nearby. At least I tried it. The sugar was way better though. The door Aspen went through is still open, and I can hear her bustling around. The room where Juliet went isn't far away either, and I already smell food. I guess I'll go watch. Oh, we get our first choice here. Let us save the game. And I am going to go with... Let's go with Juliet. Oh, Callista wants Aspen. Kuro wants Juliet. I'm gonna go Juliet. I follow my nose and head to the kitchen. There's a big frying pan on the stove with a blob of melting butter sizzling in it. Juliet gives the pan a push to move it around before walking to the counter to continue her work.
That smells smells great!
Oh, Miho. Go ahead and take a seat if you'd like. This shouldn't take long.
I do what she suggests and sit down at the dinner table at the same spot as yesterday. Lovely smells swirl about the room as she opens this jar and that.
What you making?
Fried eggs and toast with some fresh fruit. It's what we usually have. Is that all right with you?
That sounds nice.
Better than alright. I'm almost drooling just thinking about it.
I hope that it lives up to expectations then.
I watch as she quickly butters a few slices of bread and then tosses them into another pan on the stove. While it cooks, she takes an apple from a nearby bowl of fruit and cuts out the core before swiftly chopping it into perfectly even pieces.
Sure did that fast.
She's had a long time to get good at this.
Practice makes perfect, as they say, and I've had quite a lot of practice.
After moving the apple slices onto a plate, takes an orange and starts to do the same thing.
The bats enjoy fruit as well, so I tend to keep a lot of it around the house. If there are any items you'd like me to keep around the house for you, do let me know.
Sugar! Something tells me that snacks from the convenience store aren't what she has in mind.
I'll tell you if I think of anything.
Juliet finishes the fruit before dropping the eggs into the pan with butter, where they start to sizzle too. Finally, she slides the toast out and onto a plate. Right as the eggs finish cooking, and Juliet sets the table for the three of us, Aspen daintily steps into the room.
All set on my end.
Thank you. I just finished cooking too.
We all sit down and dig in. The food, of course, is delicious.
So, Miho, how will you be spending your first day as an official Wellington resident?
But I got here yesterday, or well, the day before.
I don't know yet. Hadn't really thought about it. Now that you mention it, I'll have a lot more free time now, huh? Usually I'd go hunting for food, or looking for a better place to stay, or...
Instinctively, I go silent as I reach for my pocket and the familiar crumpling paper.
Or...
If it's something you don't want to share, don't feel that you must.
Right, that too.
I hesitate. Not sure I've ever told anyone about what I'm searching for, or at least not the specifics. I've had a lot of first times lately, though. What's one more? Besides, maybe the two of them can help.
No, it's okay. I've been looking for someone.
I wipe my hands first, making sure they don't have any crumbs or grease on them. Then, I carefully slide the thin scroll from my pocket. I always keep it in the deepest part, where it won't get wet or damaged. With great care, I gently unroll it, letting the two women see the ink markings brushed onto the scroll. The edges are fuzzy with age by now, but text is still legible. I think, anyway.
They gave me this a long time ago. I don't know what it says.
Is that Korean? Maybe Chinese? I'm not able to read either one, unfortunately.
They remind me of older Chinese characters, but I can't be certain myself. Sorry, but I'm not too familiar with them either.
Miho goes out of the way to dismiss reading, and is like, hey, read this for me. They look a little defeated, but I quickly wave off their concern.
It's okay. Nobody I've asked could read it either. For all I know, they might just be scribbles. I thought that Maybe if I knew what it said, it would help me find them.
Who exactly are they, if I may ask?
They're a traveler. I learned that word just to be able to describe them. They were the first human I ever met, and they told me stories about the rest of the world.
And you've been searching for them ever since then?
Yup. For as long as I can remember. I met them back in Korea, when I was a fox. I couldn't understand what they were saying. Not until much later.
Reminiscing about them gives me a very particular feeling. It's warm and fuzzy, but also a little sad. I think people call it nostalgia. My voice is a little quieter as I finish what I mean to say.
But that never stopped them from coming to see me. I don't know their name or even where they're from, but I'll definitely recognize them when I see them again.
Both Aspen and Juliet are quiet for a moment, visibly thinking over what I've said. After a long while, it's Juliet who speaks first.
In that case, I'd be happy to assist in any way I can.
And hopefully they weren't human, because otherwise they would be dead.
Me too, of course. Speaking of which, I may have found something useful to you. I was doing a little bit of research on Gumiho last night. There was surprisingly little to be found compared to some of the other fabled.
Wait a sec. You found out that I'm a Gumio too?
Is this just common knowledge?
Well, yes. It wasn't too difficult to look up. Is that odd?
So in less than a day, both Aspen and Juliet were able to learn something about myself that I couldn't in a lifetime.
I guess not.
Gee, I wonder how they managed to do that. It couldn't be through reading, right? I only realize how I sound after I've said it. Juliet shoots a look at Aspen, who quickly tries to move the discussion along.
Anyway, I was trying to find out why Juliet and I can remember you when nobody else can. Although I didn't find anything about memories in particular, there was one story that claimed a Gumiho's curse doesn't take effect until a full day later.
Oh, of course. And since you and I both saw Miho again before too much time passed, we didn't forget her.
Right, that also makes sense from what you told us yesterday, Miho, doesn't it? You said you don't tend to talk to people a second time.
Yeah, I usually try to avoid it, really.
I hadn't ever thought of my magic as a curse before, but I guess the person who forgets me it is.
So that means that all we have to do to avoid forgetting about Miho is...
It's impossible to miss the pause before Aspen's words. Like she's not confident in what she's about to say.
see her every day. Forever.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of effort. So social. Forever. That word hangs in the air. Aspen says it cheerfully, but even I could recognize just how impossible that is. I mean, did she say that cheerfully? She didn't sound cheerful about the forever part, and the expression on her face is nervous too, right? And does sending SMSs count? Like send a message on Discord? Would that work? Have to teach me how to read as well, obviously, but you know. Yeah. At some point, even these two will forget me, won't they? Why even try then? Why bother if I know it'll just hurt in the end? On cue, those kinds of doubts start to swirl in my head like always. It's so tempting to just stop caring and give up on others. No, I won't let myself dwell on that. Not on my first day living here. Who knows? Even if it's a long time from now, maybe these thoughts will go away for good. Juliet clears her throat before the silence goes on for too long.
Well, that's not bad at all. Preserving the memory of those you hold dear is one of the most important parts of life.
I mean, assuming that it doesn't, like, get rid of written records or anything like that, you can write stuff down. Aspen ponders for a moment before nodding.
It really is.
It seems a little early for either of them to consider me dear to them, but I keep that to myself.
So, anyway, about Jacques.
For a relief? Aspen changes the subject away from me and my magic. As Juliet and Aspen chat between themselves, the conversation drifts onto things I don't know about and people and places I don't recognize. It's all probably related to books. I smile and laugh when they do, but I'm not really paying attention or talking. Listening to the two of them, they may as well be speaking a different language. The more I observe, the more it seems I'll have to learn. Not just about normal people and human life, but about myself as well, even the world. In one day, both Aspen and Juliet were able to figure out what I am, how my magic works. I've had a long time to do that. Still had no idea. It doesn't even seem like it was hard for them. There's something that I have to admit to myself. I haven't really tried before. Just what have I been missing out on? I feel something bubbling up inside of me. The same feeling as yesterday, when I decided to come back to the library instead of running away. Something that makes me clench my fists and take a deep breath as I make another decision. Something that I realize I can put a name to, even though it's a new one for me. Teach me how to read? This is what people call hope. Even if it's pointless in the end.
I want to learn how to be a person.
Juliet cuts off whatever she was saying mid-sentence. Both she and Aspen turn to face me, eyes wide. Oops. I guess I should have started by waiting for them to stop talking.
You want to... what?
Be a person. Make me a real person. I've already messed this up, but I keep going.
Be a person. To know about the things you two are talking about. All the stuff that you give me a weird look for when I don't know. I want to learn about it.
I'd say that you're already well on your way.
She's not stupid, she's just, like, really uneducated. Like, incredibly uneducated. And she's been in the spot where she's also unaware of how uneducated she is, because she's been able to get by with her own sort of like survival skills. Whereas a person living in a society would be a little bit more aware of how uneducated they are, because like they wouldn't be able to do the things that she's able to do, like steal and just get away with it, because like people are going to forget about her. So she hasn't had to learn things. Yeah, she's never had the desire to learn or the need to learn. So that's played a huge role in keeping her ignorant. And yeah, I find it cute. It's, I like Miho as a character. I've said this before, but I like it when visual novels don't have blank slates as protagonists. Like Miho's got her own charm, her own character, She might know less than a lot of other visual novel protagonists, because, like, she doesn't know how to be a person. But, like her character is a lot more fully formed. Obviously not all visual novels, absolutely not. But, like, a lot of the visual novels that people sort of think about, I guess, tend to have more blank slate protagonists, I guess. That's part of the reason why I like stuff like Fate Stay Night and Steins Gate, because the other protagonists in that are very much not blank slates. Some people give Shiro shit for being like a boring hero sort of figure, but they actively interrogate that with Shiro. Like, he is very much his own character in Fate Stay Night. And obviously, Steins Gate has Ho and Kyoma! Or Okabe Rintaro, as his birth name is. Her expression becomes quite serious as she continues. I'm a little glad she sees as much weight behind this as I feel about it.
Miho, there are some things that you can't rush or change overnight. This is definitely one of them. That said, starting can be the hardest part. You've already taken the first steps.
Juliet is very right about this. Starting can indeed be the hardest part about anything. Even harder than doing the actual work. Like, depending on like your personality or your baseline anyway, it can take a lot of energy in order to get something started. Once you're started, everything else can be easier. But it's different for some other people, absolutely. Sometimes for them it's easy to get started, but hard to keep going. Like, everyone's different.
What Juliet said, I'm sorry too. I didn't mean to keep you out of our conversation.
No, it's okay. I was busy thinking anyway.
Like I've said this before, but part of the reason that I stream is to motivate myself to play more games and finish them. I sometimes find it difficult to just like boot up a game. Like, even though I know that I'll enjoy it, but I'll sort of get stuck in like, oh, should I play this? I don't know if I want to play this. I should play this. I've left all these other ones behind, and then I just don't do anything. Streaming lets me schedule things, and that like helps to serve as like a Kickstarter to get me to continue with things. Because I'm like, oh, I've scheduled this part of the day to do this, so therefore I am going to do this.
I can't stop looking for my person, of course, but maybe I can do more than that too.
We'll help you in any ways that we can.
Aspen nods in agreement, then checks the time and sighs.
It'll have to wait until later though, because I need to be leaving for work. I'm sure Juliet needs her rest too.
Thanks. I am rather tired. Will you be alright on your own for the day, Miho?
Yeah, I should be. I'll figure out something to do.
And now we're in free time mode.
Ah, wonderful. Here, let me take this.
She gets up and collects the dirty plates, then carries them to the sink.
Tomorrow I have to go in earlier than usual to open.
Boo.
If you come by, I can make you that drink again, Miho. As long as you promise not to run away, that is.
Sure. Don't worry. I'm not going anywhere this time. Although... will it still be at home?
At home?
Like... free.
On the house.
Oh, on the house, yes. Yes, of course. This should probably be the last time, though, or my boss will start getting upset.
Aw, okay. It was nice while it lasted.
Aspen pauses as she rises from the table and starts to leave.
You know, getting a job might be a good idea if you're serious about living a normal life.
Oh no! Labor!
It's hardly the most fun, but then you could buy as many fairy kiss chillers as you want.
Or, and hear me out here, I could go rob some mining executive and I would be able to use like their money and buy some fairy kiss chillers. And then I would also be sticking it to the man.
A job? Sounds like a pain.
Aspen just sighs as I sink into my seat. The way she talks about having a job makes it sound awful.
Well, it's just a suggestion. See you later, Juliet. Miho.
With that, she takes her leave as Juliet and I wave her off. You know, one thing that would make jobs more bearable is if you could just turn up and not turn up entirely on your own whims without having to organize anything. Like if you just show up and you're like, yep, I'm working today. And they're like, yep, you're working today. And then you get paid the money. And then, like, if you don't need any money, you're like, no, I'm not coming in today. And then, like, yep, you don't work that day. You don't have to organize anything. You don't have to worry about losing your job or anything like that. That would be nice. Then you could work as many or as little hours as you want. After the distant sound of Juliet shutting her bedroom door, the whole library is silent, leaving me alone with my thoughts in the kitchen. The front doors are unlocked and open to everyone, so it's just a matter of time until the first guests arrive.
Well, what do I do now?
The empty room doesn't have an answer. Right about now, I'd usually be scrounging for breakfast or scoping out a new place or maybe even planning where I'll spend the night. But with a full belly and a bed to come back to, I don't have to worry about any of that. Instead, I have a lot of free time on my hands.
Guess I'll explore.
Exploring time! It's how I've been spending a lot of my time recently anyway. And while Juliet and Aspen seem fine so far, it's still a little tiring to be around other people so much. Having some alone time is important too. Absolutely. Making my way into town, I try to pay more attention to what people are doing, instead of searching for opportunities. I meant what I said about wanting to be more of a person, but well, small steps are easier for me. And if there's one thing I'm good at, it's observing. Of course, I'll also be keeping an eye out for anything that can help me find my person, but I have to admit that I don't have much of a plan for that. Usually, when I go to a new country or city, I'll try to find someone who might know them or who recognizes my scroll. I usually prefer asking other Fabled. They're easier to deal with than humans. It's not a very efficient plan if I'm being honest. I have to get really lucky for it to work. I haven't come up with any better ideas. Now that Aspen and Juliet have offered to help, maybe they'll be able to think of something new. For now, I'm just killing time. I take it slow, passing through the city, and even pop into some stores along the way. One is full of musical instruments, while right next door is a store selling kitchen utensils. Across the street, there's another place with racks full of used clothes. I step into each store and pace around the aisles just browsing. Usually, I'd never come into these kinds of shops. Even though they have some expensive stuff, it's all bulky and hard to carry. Plus, I've learned the hard way that some pawn shops and buyers are good at guessing when something's stolen. Now that I'm paying more attention to what's for sale, I've realized that I don't even know what a lot of this stuff does. In the kitchen store, there's normal pots and pans and dishes, which makes sense. But there's also a bunch of different gadgets with all kinds of shapes and sizes. I can't even guess what you use some of these for. At the music store, I recognize a few instruments like guitars and pianos and drums. There are also a bunch that I've seen before but don't know the names of, most of the kind that you play with your mouth. Then, there are some that I've never seen, and can't even be sure are actually instruments and not some kind of device. Not some other kind of device. I seem to be the only one having this problem. In both stores, the other customers I've seen all walk around like they know what they're doing, or at least are looking for something in particular. I try to listen in on a conversation that someone's having with a salesperson. It's just like listening to Aspen and Juliet talk. I don't recognize half the words. In the end, I don't spend long in either store.
This is already harder than I thought.
Nearby, there's a clock outside one of the stores, and it informs me that it's only been an hour or so since I left the library. Still a lot of time before Juliet will be up. Guess I'll keep looking around. I mean, the sun started going down at least. But I'm not expecting much. I continue to browse through most of the shops I pass, just for something to do. I think about going by the Bell House and saying hello to Aspen, but when I get there, there's a line out the door and around the building. Peeking through the window, don't even see her. Instead, someone else is taking orders at the counter. I don't feel like waiting, so I keep walking instead. I end up walking for as long as I can stand it. Past the Skyport and beach, past Mount Victoria, back towards town yet again. When it eventually gets too boring even for me, I head back to the library. It's much busier now than when I left it. There's a pile of books on the desk that people have brought back, and the checkout sheet is half full. Some of the chairs are occupied, and at least a dozen people are browsing the shelves. None of them pay me any mind, even when I grab a snack from the kitchen and then head up to my room. New shoes! Hopefully you got some good ones. In there, I do the only thing there is to do. Flop onto my bed and look up at the ceiling. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad to have a bed to do that in, but it doesn't help much right now.
So I can be bored outside or bored inside?
Time to learn how to read. In my normal life, I'm usually too busy to be bored. Having time to rest and relax can be a luxury. Now, I've got more time than I know what to do with. I didn't even realize this would be a problem.
Guess all I can do is wait for Juliet.
Hopefully, she'll have some ideas. I get the feeling she could give advice on anything.
May as well get comfy.
Yawning, I get under the covers and then transform into a fox. With the soft pillow under my head and the cozy blanket above me, it's a lot like being in a very comfortable den. Molotov Cocktail, thank you very much for the raid. How was your stream? For those who don't know me, I am Araxis Denacia, your revolutionary bartender, and right now we are streaming the game Please Be Happy, which is a visual novel about a fox girl trying to find out how to be a human. How was your stream? I see that you were playing Turnip Boy Robs a Bank. I've heard some good things about that one, actually. I've not played it myself, but I've heard that the Turnip Boy games are pretty good. But yeah, thank you very much for the raid. And yeah, immediately getting to sleep in the game. Oh, thank you very much, Tiberius, for the recommendation. I do appreciate that. But yeah, we're Cairo Tyrant, thank you very much for the follow. welcome to the Fox Shrine. I hope you enjoy your stay. If you intend to be sleeping, enjoy your sleep. Absolutely. Obviously, time zones are different for different people, and if you're coming off of a stream yourself, you're probably ready for bed yourself, perhaps. At least, if you stream the way that I do, anyway. Not today, though. Today I'm doing a daytime stream. Anyway, let's get back to the game, shall we? And after all the walking I did, that does sound pretty nice. If I'm lucky, I won't wake up until Juliet does. Yep, no problem. Do appreciate that. Wrapping my tail around my face, I close my eyes and eventually drift off to sleep. It's almost dark out when I finally open my eyes. Just like this morning, it takes a second for me to remember where I am. I burrow my way out of the blankets and then retake my human form, rubbing the sleepiness from my eyes.
That nap worked better than I expected.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully Juliet will be awake by now. If she isn't, I don't know what I'll do. There's no way I'm falling back asleep anytime soon. Unlike this morning, when I pass by Juliet's office, there's no light from under the door. I do catch the sound of something going on in the kitchen, so I make my way downstairs. In the kitchen, I'm treated to quite the sight.
Good evening, Miho. I'll be with you in just a moment.
It's not just Juliet in the kitchen, but 3 bats as well. One clings to the back of the chair Aspen sat in this morning, and another is on top of the fridge. The third one is perched on Juliet's shoulder. I think it's the same one that I saw in her office. Yeah, Juliet's a vampire. She gets along well with bats. She's a very nice person. Juliet's holding a small bag and handing out the contents to the different bats. On closer inspection, I realize that they're bugs. All the bats devour them greedily, including the one nibbling by Juliet's ear. He doesn't seem too bothered and hands them each another treat. Yet can't just survive on fruit. They gotta have some bugs as well.
All right, here are the last ones.
Bats on the chair and fridge finish their snacks, and they fly over my head and out of the kitchen. Their wings nearly clip me in the face, and the gust they create blows my hair around. The last one stays on Juliet's shoulder even after it's finished eating, and then Juliet picks up a small envelope from the counter and ties it to one of the bat's legs. Messenger bat!
Thank you, Orpheus. We'll see you soon.
Launching itself off of Juliet's shoulder, Orpheus takes flight and exits through one of the library windows. Even though he was much bigger than the other bats, it doesn't look like Juliet was fazed by being used as a launch pad.
My apologies, Miho. You caught me just at dinner time for the bats.
It's okay. I just woke up.
Oh? I take it you had a busy day then?
Well, not really. Just walked around for a while and then took a nap because didn't know what else to do.
I see. I'm sorry to have left you on your own all day.
Transfem! Thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the Fox Shrine. I hope you enjoy your stay.
I should have made sure you were taken care of before I went to sleep.
Oh, some of the other things that I stream other than Please Be Happy. Right now we are playing Ghost Trick and also Super Robot Wars. All of them very fun games. I gotta give her some ideas on how to keep herself entertained now that she doesn't have to live in a subsistence mentality. She sure does apologize a lot. Is that what it means to be polite? Makes me feel kind of uncomfortable. It's not like she did anything wrong. Mm-hmm. Yep. Good games indeed. Yeah, SRWT is not available on PC, unfortunately. You've got to get that one on the Switch or the Vita or PS4, I think. Yeah, no problem. Totally understand if you need to sleep. Appreciate the follow, and thanks for saying hi as well.
What are some of your hobbies?
Stealing?
There are all manner of things tucked away in this room, all that throughout the library.
Hobbies? I don't think I know that word.
Something you do for fun, just because you enjoy it.
Oh!
Would you dumb it down a notch?
I don't really have anything like that.
Although she raises her eyebrows, Juliet just nods. I'm guessing that wasn't an answer she was expecting. That sounds like a good idea, Callista. That's all visual as well, so you don't even have to be able to read. Mostly. There's a few things where you might want to know what the symbols mean, but someone could tell you that fairly easily, and then you just have to recognize the symbol.
I think I understand. Well, perhaps that should be our first order of business. I believe you'd find your life much enriched with something amusing to do.
Okay. Like what?
She ponders for a moment, tapping the countertop beside her.
It could be anything. A sport, an art, or even something like watching television. Whatever brings you joy.
Pretty sure I've never tried any of those.
Then, it seems we have plenty of options to start with.
Alright, we're going to have a brief break here, brief ad break, and we will resume and see what sort of hobbies Juliet has in mind for us. So, I will be right back. Let me know when the ads are done, please. Alright, let's get back into the stream, shall we? Let's see what Juliet's going to suggest and what Miho might be interested in.
I know you've done a lot of walking today already, but I need to go into town to run some errands. Would you be interested in accompanying me? Maybe we'll see something along the way that strikes your fancy.
Sure, fine by me. Not like I've got anything better to do.
With a smile, Juliet gathers up some more papers and envelopes from the table and tucks them under her arm.
Let's be off then.
Leaving the library unlocked, we set off down the familiar path. Juliet maintains a brisk pace, but isn't too fast. I like this a lot more than going slow.
So, Miho, how are you enjoying Wellington itself so far?
I like it. It's not too big and it's not too small. Like that there's the ocean and mountains close by.
Yes, we're truly fortunate to live in such a paradise.
How'd you end up here in the first place? You said you came from the underworld, right?
That's correct. Ugh, I was much wilder and irresponsible in those days. But then, I met someone who changed my life. Someone who made me want to be a better person.
Oh?
Part of that meant reinventing myself, with a new life in a new place. Rather like what you've been doing too.
Huh. I can't picture you being crazy like you said.
But enough talk! Have at you!
That's something of a relief, but it was certainly true at the time.
What is a man but a pile of secrets? A miserable pile of secrets.
Sometimes, it does feel as if I was an entirely different person back then.
I used to be a Castlevania boss.
It can be difficult to reconcile who we were with who we are, or want to be.
Doesn't seem like you had too much trouble with it.
I wouldn't say that. For one, this was very long ago. And even now, I continue to change. Everyone does. Perhaps in a few hundred years, I'll look back on these days, and they'll also seem like someone else's life.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Not that I think Juliet is lying, but it seems to me like she's just being modest. I may not have known her for long, but if anything, she seems a little too perfect. It isn't too late in the evening yet, so there are plenty of other people out and about too. Occasionally, someone will recognize and greet Juliet, and she always gives them a friendly greeting in return. After walking in silence for a couple minutes, I clear my throat.
I've got a question.
What is it?
Do you always walk places?
As opposed to?
Flying. Can't you turn into a bat?
Oh, yes. I suppose I can. I do so only sparingly, though. I find that I appreciate life more as a human than as a bat.
Why? That's weird. Like being a fox a lot more. Being a human just feels clumsy. Your arms and legs are way too long and get in the way all the time.
But you can hold things a lot easier. The power of opposable thumbs.
I suppose that's true. It can be quite awkward at times. Or even embarrassing.
Yeah, exactly! I've never been embarrassed as a fox.
I understand. There are certainly downsides. I believe the good makes up for the bad, though. Some things are only possible as a human, or fabled.
Like what? I can't think of any, other than talking like this.
Like writing, for one thing, as our dear friend Aspen would surely mention. Or perhaps like dancing. Have you ever danced, Miho?
Nope, never. I don't get why people do it either. Don't tell me you like dancing. Is that your hobby?
I must confess that I do enjoy it. At times, that is. I wouldn't call it a hobby. But with the right person, at the right moment, it can be quite nice.
If you say so.
Cooking is something that humans can do. Make food a lot better. I find myself saying that a lot lately. Shaking and flopping your body around the music? It's not for me. I don't even know how they come up with this stuff. Humans are stupid. But I'm trying to remember to be polite, so I keep that part to myself.
So, on that note, I should have asked this earlier. Are there any hobbies that you have as a fox?
I never thought about it that way. But now that you mention it... Almost everything is better as a fox. The sun feels nicer on my fur than it does on my skin. Flowers smell better and more interesting when I sniff them. It's more... vivid.
I remember Aspen using that word and explaining what it means. I bet she'd be proud if she heard me use it.
You do make it sound lovely. But are those things you do for fun?
Well...
I almost say yes right away, but then I think about it for a second. I do love those things I mentioned, but maybe they don't fit what Juliet is asking.
I guess not. They feel good, but they're not fun.
That's still valuable too.
So far, we've been following the same path that I took earlier when I went into town. But when we come to a crossroads, Juliet turns in the direction of a neighborhood instead of the city.
The first stop I need to make is down here. After that, we'll go look around and see if there's anything fun.
Alright, I'm just following you.
This isn't the same neighborhood where I hid from Juliet a couple nights ago, although it's pretty similar. Some of those houses are the sort that remind me of bugs when I first arrived in Wellington. We stop at one of them, a little one-story house with the porch light on. I follow Juliet to the front door, and she rings the doorbell. Gotta be invited in.
Is this for one of your errands?
Yes, we're delivering those papers that were requested.
He straightens out the 2 yellow packets that she was carrying. The door opens, and a young woman carrying a baby stands behind it.
Oh, Miss Juliet! So good to see you.
With one of her trademark smiles, Juliet hands over the papers and the 2 chat for a bit. I lean against the wall, not involved or listening. When talking to the lady, Juliet uses the same warm tone and softness as when she's talking to me and Aspen. In fact, if I close my eyes, I could almost pretend that I'm back at the breakfast table with both of them, listening to them go on about books. Eventually, the woman takes the folder, and after saying goodbye several times, we leave. As soon as we're off her property, I turn to Juliet.
What was that all about?
I suppose you could call it another one of my hobbies. Sometimes, patrons have requests for information on their ancestors, or a piece of history that they'd like to learn about.
Ooh, alright, interesting.
For example, Mrs. Aliyu wanted to know about her husband's culture so she could teach her new child. I find and collect what's requested, and bring it to those who asked.
Whoa, sounds like a lot of work.
It can be, but I don't mind it. The past is worth preserving, but not everyone knows how. It's my honor to help people do so. I have assistants too, such as dear Orpheus, who is delivering a letter on the far side of town for me.
Are all the bats your helpers?
Some more than others. They're friends, not pets. And so if they don't feel like helping, then I won't force them.
To me, it sounds like a lot of trouble to go through for someone else, even with the bats helping out. But Juliet apparently likes being inconvenienced. It's the same as letting me stay in her library. That's an interesting way to put it. She likes being inconvenienced. Still, that sounds like it could be really helpful in my own search for the Traveler. As Juliet leads us to our next destination, we leave the residential area and go back towards the city. Try to keep my eyes peeled for anything interesting. There are plenty of people sitting out at tables having a meal, walking around the shops, but nothing out of the ordinary. In fact, it's not that much different from when I was here earlier. There are more fabled and fewer humans, but there are still plenty of those too. Some of the places I passed by are closed now, but some, like the music store, are still open. When we come to a big building with a lot of posters on the walls outside, we stop.
This is one of our movie theaters. They show all the most popular films, as well as independent ones from local creators.
Ooh, sounds like one of the good ones then. Always good when movie theaters have things other than the latest blockbusters. Take me here to see a play as well. I think a play would be good.
Have you ever been to see a movie before?
Not in a place like this. I know what movies are, but I don't think I've ever watched one.
Getting a lot of Boss Baby vibes from this one. Will be Miho's response after she sees Boss Baby once and then sees a second movie.
You should try it sometime. Maybe you'll find you like them. Movies can make you feel all kinds of different things. Happy, sad, scared, or just amused. Some are good for making you think, and some are good because you don't have to think about anything and can just relax.
Why would I want to watch something that makes me sad or scares me?
For some, it's fun to explore different emotions in a safe environment like that.
Catharsis!
When we see something that makes us feel strongly, it can stick with you. Perhaps cause you to view things in a different light. And if it ever becomes too much, you can simply stop watching or put on something else.
I'll try it sometime. Although, I don't know about the sad or scary ones.
Could start with something silly, like Mouse Hunt or something.
There's nothing wrong with that. Everyone has different preferences.
Along the way, Juliet continues to point out different shops and locations that she thinks I should know about, like another library or a museum. I'm not very interested in either of those things, but I smile and nod and pretend like I am. After a while, we leave the city behind and reach the waterfront, just like I usually do. Zootopia. Zootopia's propaganda. The ocean looks much different at night, with the starlight and moonlight reflecting off the water. Far out at sea, there are a few lights that must come from boats, and sometimes lights the sky from passing airships. We head down a small path to the boardwalk, where we look out onto the water. There are a few empty buckets sitting on the ground nearby, as well as some folding chairs. I point them out.
What are those for?
Bad guys. Never heard of that. What's bad guys? Bad guys movie. Family comedy, huh? Ah, Richard Ayoade's in it. There's someone in it. Okay. Hold on. I'm just looking at the picture of this, like the poster. Is this just the Fast and Furious but furries? I don't know. Seems like it could be interesting. Honestly, I would want to start Miho off with something easier. Keep in mind that her knowledge basis is rather lacking because of the way that she's experienced life. So possibly Spice and Wolf going into like all different sorts of like merchants and stuff and all that might be a little bit much for her. So that's why I suggest Mouse Hunt, because that's a very visual movie, and you don't really have to understand anything more about it than the fact that these two goons are trying to get rid of this mouse. Very slapstick. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it before, because it's like I know it was like made in the 90s, I think. It's the style of it is like it feels even older than that because of the nature of the movie. Like in that it is just a very simple movie, like very slapstick in nature, as I sort of like said. So it's a little bit like those like black and white silent movies almost, except obviously like in color, like full sound and all that. But yeah, so that's what I think for Miho.
People like to fish off at this pier. They come at all hours, but I believe this spot is used for teaching lessons during the day.
Till someone steals their bucket.
Ooh, lessons on how to catch fish?
That's correct. Is that something you're interested in?
Maybe. It's one of those things that I like doing as a fox, but I don't know if I'd like doing it the human way.
Should you decide you'd like to try, I'm sure there would be someone here who's happy to instruct you.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't want to commit to anything, but it couldn't hurt to come check this place out during the day.
I'm glad you found something that struck your fancy. Is there anywhere else you'd like to visit while we're out, or should we return home?
Nah, I'm ready to head back. Is there anything for dinner?
I'm sure we can put something together.
Then let's go.
Since I actually know where we are now, I lead the way home with Juliet close behind me. It's another chilly morning in Wellington. I'm outside the Bell House, waiting for Aspen.
People are gonna think I'm staking this place out. And for once, that isn't true.
It's after breakfast, but before the sun's up. Aspen invited me for a free drink before they open, but I'm starting to think that I've been duped.
Anytime now.
I rub my arms and bounce around to try to stay warm. Right as I'm thinking about picking the lock myself, the front door swings open and Aspen waves me inside.
So anyway, like I was saying, my uncle taught me this trick to make it taste better. You put a little bit of salt in the coffee and it brings out the flavor, right? Not too much. You don't want to make it salty, but just a little bit.
Teach her more human tools and survival skills. Maybe. But, I suppose it's also keeping it close to what she's familiar with. But there is something to be said about also just jumping like straight into something a bit more unfamiliar as well.
Sorry about that. I got a little held up.
Lena just wants to talk. Well, Lena seems to be like something associated with the weather. She was able to predict that it would rain, and she says that's just something she's always able to do. Maybe a rock? I don't know.
I was thinking maybe you forgot about me after all.
No, you're not rid of me that easily. I was just...
I tried it and it's really good. Have you tried it? Remind me, I'll make you one. So then I was thinking, if I start doing that every time I make a drink, eventually people will start realizing that their coffee's better when I make it, but they won't know why.
Sus. A swan, huh? Alright, fair enough. Swan.
Talking to Lena. That can always take longer than you expect or plan for. But she and I often look the other way for each other on certain things. Such as letting you in before the store opens, for instance.
With anyone else, that'd be a paddling.
Oh, am I not supposed to be here? That's cool!
As long as we open on time, it's fine, and Lena and I are the two fastest. You kind of have to be when she's involved.
What do you mean?
He's a motor mouth.
I'm sure you'll see. Come on, what do you want today?
I inspect the menu. It's as unhelpful as ever.
Here's a paper copy, if that's easier to read.
Oh, I can't read. She hands me a little printout menu. It's also distinctly lacking pictures.
Sorry, can't read it.
Oh, do you need a Korean version? I'm afraid we don't have one.
No, can't read that either.
Oh, nah. Can't read any languages.
Like, yeah, reading. I may as well have told her that the sky is green. You've just told a bookworm that you can't read. Aspen stares at me in clear disbelief. This isn't the usual weird look. This is beyond that. This is super weird. She laughs nervously.
You're joking, right?
Nope! I shake my head. She collapses onto a stool behind her, fanning her face with the menu in her hands. I need the vapors!
I can't believe it! I just can't, so you've never... You haven't! Wow.
I can tell she really wants to say more, but holds herself back. She has been around for years, so I can see why Aspen would assume that, certainly. Like we know, they know that Miho's been around for a while, right? And I suppose generally you expect people to be able to read, because as has been sort of established already, like, Miho is lacking in fundamental skills that, like, other people just expect you to have. I've talked about that before. And, like, it's a case of, like, there's a lot of things that Miho doesn't know that she doesn't know. And also, conversely, that also means that there's a lot of things that other people would expect Miho to know, but she's got absolutely no concept of it.
I suppose that explains a lot. Still, I just can't imagine.
It takes a moment, but she regains her composure.
Anyway, if you want to try something new, then how about our ambrosia latte?
Does that have honey in it?
It's one of our seasonal beverages with apple and caramel.
I'm still into it.
Apples and coffee? I've never had that before.
Not normally a coffee drinker myself, I will admit. I don't mind like a mocha every so often, but that's like more chocolate than coffee, admittedly.
Yes, well, we're experimenting with the recipe still.
I said that we should try adding more cinnamon to it.
Honestly, cinnamon and apple, like, very good combination. I'm with you, Lena. I don't even know where Lena comes from. Suddenly, she's just there.
Aspen said it would overwhelm the other flavors, but I add extra whenever I make one, and so far no one's complained.
Lena, are you serious?
Well, yeah. How else are we gonna find out which one's better? I'll make one for your friend too, and she can tell us which one she likes more.
Lena!
2 free drinks! The other girl hurries back to the kitchen, clearly not caring about what Aspen was about to say. Aspen sighs and shakes her head.
Right, well, I have to open the registers and put on the coffee. I'll have your drink in a couple minutes.
Okay, thanks.
I hop up on one of the tall stools and wait, swinging my legs back and forth. Before long, the cafe fills with the smell of warm coffee and baking bread. Enough to make my mouth water, even though it hasn't been long since I last ate. Aspen roams between the kitchen and the front area, always looking very busy. She checks and inspects what seems like every drawer and cabinet in the place while getting ready. Lena's busy too, mopping and setting up chairs. At some point she puts earphones in, and her music is loud enough for me to hear it from across the building. Even with earphones in, geez Lena, are you deaf? After a while, Aspen returns to my table, along with a steaming paper cup.
Here you go, 1 ambrosia latte.
I pop the lid off so I can take a peek at the drink itself. It smells light and fruity, and a swirl of caramel syrup is melting into the coffee and whipped cream.
Looks good.
Hopefully it tastes good too.
I have a tiny little sip since it's too hot to drink very fast. The tartness of the apple actually goes pretty well with the coffee flavor.
It's a little sour, but it's not bad. Not as good as a fairy kiss chiller, though.
Well, I can't complain about that.
The chair squeaks against the floor as Aspen sits down across from me.
So, have you decided how you're going to spend your day?
Gonna start my day by sneezing, apparently. Excuse me. Alright.
Not yet. What about you?
There's still another 7.5 hours left on my shift, so I'll be here for quite a while. After work, I try to have a social life or get some writing done. Although lately I usually just collapse on the bed and take a nap.
That's capitalism.
Hey, me too! Without a bed, though.
Yes, well, I'm sure frolicking through the flowers and chasing rabbits gets tiring.
Ooh. Are there rabbits around here?
Not for long, I imagine. Speaking of which, have you thought about what I said yesterday?
Gotta get rid of all the feral rabbits.
About getting a job? It seems you have more than enough time on your hands. You do know what a job is, right?
More or less. I mean, I've seen people at work before, but I've never had my own job before you ask.
Yes, I'm aware. Anyway, you'd have money to buy things you want, and you wouldn't have to steal to get it.
What do I need money for, though? Juliet lets me sleep at her house, and she even gives me food.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean to sound rude or anything, but Juliet can't take care of you forever, you know?
Well, she's from New Zealand, so I mean, I suppose it's like English colony, certainly.
I know.
Right now, I'm still getting used to even living here. I haven't given any thought to what might happen later on.
I don't even know what kind of job I could get. Is there some place that would hire me to steal things?
Yeah. There's like locksmiths, absolutely. You could also get a job in security, as sort of like a white, as like a troubleshooter essentially, like probe the security measures of different locations and see if they're effective at deterring thieves and the like. Probably want to get you used to computers though, so that you can do like computer cracking and stuff.
Not legally, no. But maybe you can find a way to use those skills. Maybe you could be a security guard somewhere, or a locksmith.
She literally had the same ideas as me.
Maybe. What exactly is your job anyway?
Well, as you know, I'm a barista. That means I make coffee and tea and hot chocolate and whatever else our customers ask for. Some people rely on our products just to get through their day, so I consider it to be a very important job. If we were to close or go out of business, there would be a great many people who would be distraught over it.
Wow! And you're gonna do this for the rest of your life?
Not for that long, I hope. It's not my passion by any means, but I don't mind it. It can be rather exhausting though, especially on busy days.
I'd say she's selling me on this whole job idea.
What is your passion?
It's this.
Writing! Like she was waiting for me to ask, Aspen dramatically pulls out a small notebook and puts it on the table. It's the one that I see her writing in all the time. I lean forward to look at it closely. It's not very big, about the size of my hand, and it's mostly purple in color. There's an intricate gold pattern around the border. Sorry, excuse me for a moment. Sorry, my nose was a little bit itchy. It definitely looks fancy. I could probably get a lot of money for this at the right store.
This is my writing notebook. One of them, at least. My passion is writing, bringing stories and characters to life, making people feel what I feel. There's nothing quite like it. So challenging, yet rewarding. It's both my favorite activity and also the most frustrating one. This notebook is full of story ideas, lines that I come up with, or other interesting details. One of the best parts of working here at the Bell House is that I get to meet so many interesting and inspiring people.
Lunch rush, ouch. That's annoying. I mean, hopefully there aren't too many people buying, like, shoes in the middle of the day on a weekday, right? And yeah, writing is fun. I I only sort of like stopped writing for a while, although I recently did some more when I finished that mega game, and I was like, yeah, I need to write all of this down. I haven't written so much in a long time, but that was fun. Probably do it again next time I do a mega game, because I feel like it is nice to document that sort of thing. One less E there, Drago. Bell House. That's the problem with like also like creative processes, unfortunately. Yeah. You're always got to be your own harshest critic, and like practice is like going to improve things for you over time. Absolutely. All great writers sucked at one point. Like it's not something that you just get good at. You get good over a period of time, and that time may take longer or shorter depending on the sort of person you are. Absolutely. The important thing is if you enjoy it, though. If you enjoy it, then like it doesn't really matter how fast or short it takes for you to like improve or anything. Because you're enjoying it, right? Getting into a flow, that like certainly depends on the person as well. Sometimes you just have to grin and bear it and push through. I know a lot of like writers who do it as like a profession, like have to try and like force themselves to work through the low points as well. But if you're still like doing it as a hobby, then you don't have to worry about that as much. Probably best to talk with someone who's more experienced at writing than I am, admittedly.
For example, when you first came in, I wrote a brief note about you. I never imagined that just a few days later we'd be having this conversation.
Trust me, I didn't either. What did you write about me?
Weird fox girl. For some reason, Aspen's face gets a little red.
I don't remember, just that I wrote something. It's in another notebook, not this one.
Not sus at all.
My dream is that someday I'll be able to make a living from my writing. In fact, when I moved to Wellington a couple of years ago, that was supposed to be the first step.
Admittedly, do be careful about monetizing your passions. It sounds like a great idea, but like a lot of these things are very difficult to do and could very easily end up destroying the passion that you once had for it, because like at that point it becomes work, unfortunately. So yeah, hopefully you'll be able to do that, Aspen, but be careful, okay? Be careful.
It's been taking longer than I'd like so far. Every morning when I wake up, I tell myself that I'm not going to sleep that night until I finish at least a chapter. But then by the time I'm done with work, all I want to do is pass out.
Work sucks.
Of course, that just puts me further and further behind. I've really only myself to blame, I suppose, but life doesn't make it easy for me.
Sighing, Aspen puts her notebook away once more while I sip my drink.
Saying it like that, I can't fault you for not wanting to get a job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only here because I need some way to pay the bills. That's just the life of a starving artist for you.
Did someone say job? Are you getting a job here? Is this an interview?
From out of nowhere, Lena appears with a cup in her hands.
No, Miho's just a friend. And were you eavesdropping on us?
It's not eavesdropping if you're in public.
I ain't dropping no eaves, Aspen.
You should learn to talk quieter if you don't want people to hear you. Like me.
Tell me you're joking.
About what?
Before Aspen can even answer, Lena turns to face me instead.
Anyway, that's too bad. We could definitely use the help. Hey, why not apply here if you're looking for work? I bet Aspen would put in a good word for you, right? I could do it too. It'd kind of be lying, I guess, since I don't know you that well, but you seem like an alright person.
That's really nice, Lena. Like, offering to vouch for someone you have no idea about, just to help them out.
I mean, if Aspen trusts you, you have to be okay, I think. I can go get you an application right now if you want. I printed out a whole stack of them yesterday. Actually, it's the second stack, because the first one jammed up the printer and...
Lena, I am begging you to please be normal.
What? Tell me why it's a bad idea.
Also, you have physical applications? You don't just apply online?
Do you not think... What's your name again?
Miho.
Do you not think Miho could do it?
No, it's not that. I'm sure she'd do great. It's just...
Wait, that sounds fun. Would I get to work with you?
Yeah, we'd work together. Oh, you meant Aspen, didn't you? Yeah, she'd be there too.
Clapping her hands on the desk, Aspen stands up from the table.
It's certainly an idea. Perhaps one we should discuss later.
We're here now, let's discuss it now.
Lena, you and I should be getting to work, don't you think?
Okay, boss.
Please just go unlock the door.
Okay.
Smirking, Lena heads towards the front of the store.
Feel free to hang out for a bit if you'd like, Miho. Although it's going to get busy soon, so I won't...
You could probably do the job of a barista without being able to read. Just thinking of where it might be important. And where, like essential, rather, than just helpful. Like, you could memorize, like, the different sorts of coffee that you need to, do. Like, is there anything where... I suppose, like, writing, like, names on cups, potentially? But if you're able to just remember the person, then you don't have to worry about that.
Oh, wait! I almost forgot! If you need something to do, come play tennis with me this afternoon.
Tennis?
Yeah, you know, you hit the ball back and forth over the net.
I know what it is. Is that your hobby?
For now, I like trying new things.
I'll think about it. I should try something new myself, too.
I wasn't asking.
Tennis is mandatory.
Anyway, you said it yourself. You're totally coming. So, I'll see you there.
Okay.
Can't help but feel I've been roped into something here. But it's true that I should at least give it a shot. Maybe I'll turn out to like it more than I expect.
Cool.
Lena starts to leave again, but then suddenly jumps back around to face me again.
Oh, right. There's one more thing.
Is it gonna rain? Sorry, how many more things does she have? I can practically feel Aspen's exasperation as Lena runs back and slams the cup she was carrying onto the table in front of me. The cinnamon version! Yeah, Lena is definitely the super extroverted type who drags people along.
Try this. Tell me which one you like more. The one I made or the one Aspen made?
She's being a little bit backhanded to Aspen, admittedly. Like us, the way that the writing and the tone of her voice is sometimes, it's sometimes like throwing shade on Aspen.
Okay.
With an unnecessarily loud sigh, Aspen goes and unlocks the front door herself. I'm over halfway done with Aspen's drink, but I take another gulp, paying attention to the mix of flavors. Then I do the same with Lena's. Lena watches eagerly, fists clenched in excitement.
So, what you think? Come on, be honest.
I can't taste a single difference.
They're both good.
Sure, but which one's better?
Taking another sip of each, I try to detect anything that's different between them, but can't. Fortunately, Aspen saves me. She looms behind Lena like a phantom.
Lena, don't you think maybe you should go check the croissants?
Got like the little select shadow over her face over there. The whole looming anime character.
Nah, I already looked at them earlier. A couple of them were kind of schoolish, but I tried to massage them back into shape. Don't worry.
It even cut it off like even before that. Is that supposed to happen?
Don't worry. I washed my hands first. I was trying.
Okay, so it wasn't meant to cut it off there. For once, Lena's the one cut off as Aspen jerks on her apron strings and she flaps her wings to maintain her balance.
Why don't you go check on them again? Or maybe the muffins, if you haven't yet.
I looked at them as well.
Fine, fine. We all know Miho just didn't want to hurt your feelings anyway.
Aspen releases her, and Lena walks off to the back of the cafe like an embarrassed cat, pretending it was her idea all along. After she disappears into the kitchen, Aspen sighs yet again.
I'm sorry about that.
It's fine. She seems nice.
That is certainly one way you could describe her.
I would describe her as a handful.
What I was trying to say earlier is that you can stay here if you want, but I won't be able to chat. Our first customers will be here any minute now.
That's okay. I'll probably go back to the library once I finish my drinks.
All right, I'll see you later then.
Miho may be ignorant out of lack of need for knowledge, but Lena is just a bird brain. Hold on. Allow that. For some reason, it was fine with that bird brain, but it wasn't fine with she's a bird brain. Silly auto mod.
And don't feel obligated to finish both if you don't want to.
I'm gonna try. Bye!
Like Lena, Aspen also retreats behind the counter and starts filling the display case with pastries. I wonder if any of them are the croissants Lena was talking about. Sure enough, it isn't long before the first customers start to show up. Aspen takes their orders with that fake nice voice that she used when we first met. Already, I've gotten more used to hearing her regular speaking voice instead. It's interesting to know that even normal humans like her still pretend to be other people sometimes. I wonder why she feels like she has to do that. So far, she's one of the nicest humans I've ever met. After I finish up my first copy, I toss the cup away, but hold on to the second. I'll drink it later or something. Alright. Anyway, looking at the time, and now that we've had a bit of a scene transition, I think it's a good idea to save the game here and wrap things up for the day. Because, honestly, I want to have some lunch as well. So, yeah, we will do that. And
Until we meet again, then.
until we meet again next week, most likely, I will have to see what my schedule looks like. So, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. Hope that you all enjoyed that. I am looking forward to playing more of that next time as well, because it's a fun game. I enjoy it. Okay, so let us go and raid somebody now. Who shall we raid, I wonder? Oh, I am going to go and raid Himeko Uni, who is playing some Star Rail. Let's pop in over there and go say hello, shall we? Tomorrow we're going to be doing our Discord event, and on the weekend will be Super Robot Wars Cross. The rest of the week, or next week, I'll have to decide on. I'll have to review my schedule and see how things are, that sort of thing. Alright, so thank you very much as always, and I hope to see you all next time. Okay? See ya!